I can still feel the icy sharpness in her tone when those words came out. They were harsh, dripping with superiority, and utterly devoid of warmth. We were fighting over some trivial, meaningless thing. I reached toward her, just wanted to ease the tension, my fingers lightly grazing her back. That's when she turned on me and hissed, "You don't even have the right to touch my back." I froze, completely stunned. This was the same woman I had married 5 years earlier, the one I once couldn't stand to be apart from for even a single day, the one whose touch I craved constantly. Now she stared at me as though I were an unwelcome intruder in her personal space. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I simply met her eyes for one final second and answered quietly, "You're right." Then I grabbed my jacket, walked straight to the door, and left. I drove aimlessly through the darkness, the hum of the road drowning out everything else. Scene after scene from our life together played in my mind. The shared laughter, our very first date. The promises we spoke at the altar. How had we arrived at this cold, broken place? Somewhere along the journey, love had curdled into resentment and scorekeeping. After her big promotion, she became someone else. More aloof, more arrogant, more unreachable. I was no longer her partner. I had become an accessory, something she tolerated only when it was convenient for her. But that one sentence, "You don't even have the right," ripped the last thread of illusion away. It forced me to face the truth. She had already left me emotionally long before those words ever left her mouth. I didn't return home that night. I checked into a hotel, switched my phone off, and sat in the quiet. Surprisingly, there was no rage, no sobbing, just a strange, hollow peace. For the first time in years, I didn't feel suffocated. I reflected on how long I had swallowed her frostiness, her belittling comments, her repeated hints that she deserved someone better. I had always told myself that real love requires endless patience. But I finally understood that patience without mutual respect is simply a slow form of self-erasure. Lying on that hotel bed, staring up at the ceiling, I made a calm, unshakable decision. I would no longer beg for affection from someone who no longer considered me worthy of even the smallest touch. When morning arrived, so did clarity. I turned my phone back on. 16 missed calls. 5 messages. "Where are you? We need to talk. Please come home." The irony almost made me laugh. The woman who had declared I had no right to lay a finger on her back was now desperately asking me to return. I left every message unanswered. I wanted her to feel the weight of the emptiness she herself had manufactured. Let her wonder where I had gone, who I might be with, whether I would ever walk back through that door. There are moments when the strongest statement a man can make is complete silence. By the afternoon, she appeared at my workplace. Her usually flawless hair was messy, her face drawn and tired from a night without sleep. "We need to talk," she said, her voice small. I looked at the woman who had spent years making me feel insignificant, and all I could see now was remorse. "Why now?" I asked. "Last night you told me I didn't even have the right to touch your back. What's different today?" Her lip quivered. "I didn't mean it," she murmured. "I was just angry." I nodded slowly. Anger doesn't invent words. It exposes the ones already living inside you. Tears welled in her eyes, but I remained steady. We sat without speaking for a long stretch. At last she whispered, "I miss us. I don't want to lose you." Her voice broke, yet I stayed composed. "You already lost me," I told her gently, "the night you chose your pride over our marriage." She reached for my hand. I withdrew it. For 4 long years, I had been the one pursuing harmony. Now the chase had flipped. She was pursuing me, and both of us felt the bitter symmetry of it. For the first time, she experienced what it was like to speak and receive no answer. That same evening, she returned to our house and found half the closet empty. I had packed my belongings earlier in the day. I left my wedding ring resting on the dresser, directly beside the framed photograph from our wedding day, back when her smile was real and the distance between us hadn't yet begun. I didn't write a note. I didn't owe her a single explanation. Silence can communicate more than any paragraph ever could. That night, I powered my phone off once more, fully aware she was likely crying, dialing, pleading. But my decision was final. Over the following days, she tried everything. text after text, voice messages, even appearing unannounced at my parents' home. "We can fix this," she kept saying. "Please come home." But there's a quiet freedom that arrives after enduring too much fracture. Once you taste it, you cannot return to the old turbulence. I spoke to her plainly one last time. "You didn't only destroy our marriage, you destroyed the version of you I once loved. I can forgive you, but I can never erase the echo of those words." The silence that settled between us afterward was thick, final, and irreversible. The exact sound of something ending. Weeks went by. People began to ask questions. Friends, colleagues, even her own parents wanted to understand what had happened. She told everyone I had abandoned her over a petty disagreement. But I knew the full story. It was never about one fight. It was a slow accumulation of years of disrespect, of indifference, of watching love quietly morph into possession. I had poured out loyalty, time, and unwavering commitment. All I had ever asked in return was simple, human respect. When even that became too much for her to offer, I finally gave her the only thing she had truly earned: my permanent absence. Months have passed since that night. Every so often she still sends messages, lengthy, emotional apologies, vows that she will change. But I have continued forward. My life feels lighter now. I laugh freely again. Every once in a while my mind returns to that single moment, her voice cutting like glass, those exact words slicing deep, and instead of pain I feel a small, private smile. Because that was the night I finally remember my own worth. She told me I didn't have the right to touch her back. Perhaps she was correct. Because after that moment, the only thing I ever needed to touch was the handle of the door as I walked out of her life for good. And that's exactly what I did.